Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a topic that is fundamentally changing global security and really the nature of war itself: artificial intelligence on the battlefield. So let's just start here. When you hear that phrase, killer robot, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably something straight out of a sci-fi blockbuster, right? Maybe a Terminator, glowing red eyes, the whole deal. But the reality of what's happening today, it's a lot less Hollywood and way, way more complex. We're not really talking about conscious machines that are going to take over the world. The truth is actually more subtle than that. And honestly, in a lot of ways, it's much more challenging. To really get this, we've got to be clear that not all AI is created equal. What we see on the battlefield right now is what's called narrow AI. Think of these as incredibly powerful tools, but they're built for very specific jobs. Now, general AI, that's the stuff that could actually replicate human-like thinking. Well, pretty much every expert agrees that's still a long, long way off. But even with just narrow AI, the stakes are absolutely massive. Back in 2017, Russian President Vladimir Putin made this pretty chilling prediction. And that one sentence, it just perfectly sums up why all the world's major powers are now locked in this incredibly high-stakes race for AI supremacy. So when you hear experts talking about AI in war, there's a key term that comes up again and again: autonomous weapons system, or AWS. And the really critical part of that definition is that this is a system that can select and engage targets all by itself, just based on its sensor data, without a human needing to give that final go signal. Okay, so let's start with the why. Why are countries pouring billions of dollars into building this stuff? What's the so-called promise of machine speed warfare? Well, from a military point of view, the advantages seem like a total game changer. I mean, think about the speed. You could take a decision that currently takes a human hours of agonizing analysis and compress it down to just a few seconds. Then you have scale, the ability to coordinate a huge swarm of really cheap drones to completely overwhelm a billion-dollar air defense system. It's not just about being faster or bigger, it's about better precision in targeting, the power to analyze unbelievable amounts of intelligence data in an instant, and, this is a big one, reducing human risk by sending a machine into a dangerous situation instead of a person. And this isn't just some theory on a whiteboard. Look at the Pentagon's Project Maven. It uses AI to analyze drone footage. The results are just incredible. A small 20-person analyst team using this AI can do the exact same amount of work that used to require 2,000 people. That is a 99-fold jump in efficiency. It's wild. And just look at this list. These are not sci-fi concepts for some future war. They are deployed and active in the world right now. You've got the U.S. Navy's autonomous Sea Hunter warship. Russia has its Uran 9 robot tank. Israel and Ukraine are using incredibly sophisticated AI to sort through targeting data and battlefield intel. Algorithmic warfare isn't coming, it's already here. Okay, but that's only one side of the coin. For every single one of those promises, there is a deep, profound peril. We are, right now, stumbling into a really serious ethical and legal crisis over the human cost of letting machines lead warfare. At the very heart of this whole debate is this fundamental difference between us and them. Humans, we reason with things like context and empathy. We have an almost built-in understanding of the value of a life. We can choose to show compassion. A machine, it reasons with data points and probabilities. Its logic is often buried inside an opaque black box. And it's missing the one thing that underpins all of our morality: a sense of our own mortality. This really gets to the core of the ethical problem. It was captured perfectly by the former UN Special Rapporteur Christoph Heyns. He said, "Machines lack morality and mortality, and should as a result not have life and death powers over humans." His point was that to hand over the decision to kill to a machine is to fundamentally dehumanize the act of war itself. And this creates what legal experts call the accountability gap. I mean, just think this scenario through with me for a second. A programmer writes some really complex, adaptive code. The AI system, the black box, then makes an unpredictable choice that results in a tragic mistake. The human operator who's supposed to be supervising, they couldn't have predicted it, and they can't fully explain why the AI did what it did. So who's responsible? The programmer, the operator, the machine? The blame just vanishes into a legal and moral void. And because of that gap, human rights groups are sounding the alarm. They argue that these autonomous weapons threaten our most basic values. They question whether an AI can ever truly uphold the right to life by reliably telling a civilian from a soldier. They warn that the right to peaceful assembly gets risky if a machine can't tell a protester from a threat. They argue our human dignity is chipped away when people are just reduced to data points, and the risk of discrimination is huge because of built-in algorithmic bias. And don't think for a second this bias is just a theory. A huge study on commercial facial recognition systems found something pretty shocking. The error rate for identifying the gender of women with darker skin was over 34%. For men with light skin, less than 1%. Now just imagine taking that same flawed logic and plugging it into a targeting system. The potential for discriminatory, deadly harm is enormous. Which brings us to the price tag of all this. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about the staggering, strategic, and often hidden costs of this new AI arms race. This chart shows you the new economic reality of war perfectly. An enemy can use a simple kamikaze drone that costs maybe a few $1,000s, that's the tiny bar on the left, to threaten an air defense system whose missiles cost millions of dollars each. That's the huge bar on the right. This creates a deeply unbalanced, asymmetric fight that just completely flips traditional military budgets upside down. And the cost isn't just about the physical hardware. The real hidden cost is in the intelligence, the AI itself. It's estimated that to train just one big commercial AI model, something like Google's Gemini Ultra, costs a jaw-dropping $192 million. That gives you a sense of the massive, almost invisible investment it takes to create the brains behind these weapons. But beyond money, there are some terrifying strategic risks. An enemy can literally turn your own AI against you using techniques called adversarial AI. With evasion attacks, they can make tiny changes to an object. I'm talking like putting a few pieces of tape on a stop sign that are invisible to you and me, but that completely fool an AI into seeing something else. Even scarier are poisoning attacks, where they secretly corrupt the data the AI is trained on, teaching it to make a catastrophic error, like, say, classifying an enemy bomber as a friendly civilian airliner. And all of this leads to a really important reality check from an expert, retired Navy Captain Sam Tangredi. He warns it's going to take much longer, cost a lot more money. Expectations are too high on what this could do. It's just a powerful reminder that the hype around this technology often runs way ahead of the actual reality. A true do-it-all AI is still a long, long way away. So where does this all leave us? Well, we're standing at a critical moment. We're being forced to grapple with the future of control itself. And the central challenge couldn't be any clearer. Can we, as humans, collectively write the rules for this stuff before the technology ends up writing our future for us? Which forces us all to ask that one central question that hangs over this entire debate. In a world of machine speed war, who, or maybe what, is actually in control? The race is definitely on. But it's not just the race you think it is, the one between nations for better technology. No, this is a much more fundamental race. It's a race between the furious, unstoppable pace of technology and our collective ability to create the ethical and legal guardrails that will make sure this powerful tool serves human values, instead of undermining them.